which means they avoid a couple of extra matches in February, which I'm sure every Premier League manager would cash in if they could. Virgil, thank you so much for joining us at the desk. We're just going to hand you a microphone. There you go. Didn't see that, did you? Nothing to see there. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Is relief the overwhelming emotion in terms of tonight's result after the last couple of days that you've had?
Well, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling of winning, especially in the period we are in. Trying to find consistency, trying to find something to build on, and hopefully tonight is one of those performances. Obviously, it's never easy to come here against a very good side, like we all know. So it was always going to be tough, but I think we handled the game well. Maybe it could have been a 0-0 game in the end, but obviously it ended positively for us for once in the last couple of weeks.
As a collective, how much did you discuss how you put aside the noise that is going on outside of your unit at the moment?
Well, it doesn't change. It doesn't change anything. There's obviously so much noise from the outside world, what is absolutely normal, especially if you don't perform, especially under the circumstances, and then it's absolutely deserved as well. But it's down to us to perform on the pitch, because that's the only thing what we can control. And we want to improve. We want to be consistent. We want to win games. We have the quality to do so, but we're not doing it not as much as we like. And it's just trying to stick together, be a unit like we always have been, and that's also what Liverpool stands for, in my opinion.
You said after the Nottingham Forest game that you need your leaders like Mo Salah on the pitch. Mo Salah didn't travel to Milan today. We all know why. For you, how tough has that been as a captain to deal with?
Obviously, it's difficult, but it's a collective difficult situation where we all in, and obviously between Mo and the club, things are going on. And obviously for the consequences, he's not here today to help us try to get the three points, and that's the reality. But I don't think anything changes in terms of our focus, our determination in order to get results for the football club.
Daniel was just saying he would have been watching that, wanting to be part of this performance, to be part of this tonight. Does an apology from him go some way to having a conversation with the manager? Does he need to apologise, do you think?
I don't think I'm the one to speak about if someone has to apologise for anything. I think it's him airing his feelings over the last couple of days, and that's something that the club has to deal with, and obviously we as well. But if I look at the dressing room, when I say yesterday, because or Sunday, the day after, I think nothing really has changed. The task was that we have responsibility not only to ourselves, but to the whole football club and to all the fans in the world to perform. So the focus was there. Nothing else. Nothing has changed. He trained as well, by the way, on like you also.
You cannot say it, but I can say it. I think he should apologize, not so much because of what he said, but the decision to go out that creates a difficult environment inside, and all the extras that you don't need at the moment. And I'm saying this as a big fan of Mo Salah, because I think he's a great professional, a great player. But as a captain, are you going to play a role in trying to bring peace again? Because this is such a delicate moment of the season, right?
It is. Well, the reality also is that Mo is going to Africa on the weekend.
That is also true.
So
there's an urgency.
So you don't have a lot of time.
The thing is, I know Mo for such a long time. We are good friends. We've been through highs and lows. He's been a big part of the success I've had at the club in my football career. I've been a big part of his success, like we all are part of the Liverpool Football Club such as well. Yeah. So, it's we speak, and that those type of things will stay indoors, like it should be, and we have to, and I mean we as a team and players, and we have to brace ourselves only and be ready be against the outside noise. That's the only thing we have to be ready for, and that's the only thing I encourage the players to do so.
Virg, again we played together, and addressing the highs and lows as a footballer. Tonight it's a high, right? You've won a game after a difficult week and a difficult moment, right? And then the lows are the previous performances you've had, and my former teammate and your current teammate, who's a big leader in the group, isn't part of things right now. Talk to me about what it is for you and for the camp dealing with the highs and lows amidst the volatility.
Well, I think the most important thing is obviously you speak with each other. Obviously, you can understand everyone is happy, but the reality is that you have to recover. Immediately back to Brighton already. It's obviously you have to celebrate good moments, and you have to enjoy this as well, because otherwise, what's the point of winning? You know what I mean? So But the focus is already like we stay overnight here. You have to do all the right things. You have to sleep well, eat well, because Brighton is coming to Anfield. And I think we've played Brighton for so many years, and it's always a difficult game. So what we try to achieve is never get too high, never get too low, and that's where you have to speak with each other. And obviously it's easy to say, but to act like it and to try and do it, that's the most difficult part. And if we do that, then we will get the consistency back that we had last year, because that's why we became champions. But that's the thing what we aim for.
Virgil, I wanted to ask you, because everyone is we're talking a lot about what happened in the past, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what happened today. You look so solid, so confident. Did that change, or you felt different because of the system, or because you felt more comfortable with more people in the middle? You left a little bit the wide areas. Did that change or give you a little bit more of confidence at the back? You look, I mean, today the team controlled very well the whole game.
Yeah, I think that was against Leeds for 60 minutes as well. But obviously, like, when you don't win games, when you lose games, when you concede easy goals at times, what we have done, and I was part of that as well, then obviously the outside world will focus a lot more on those type of things. But we try to find consistency. But today, obviously, we all know that they are very comfortable on the ball. They have two strikers that are very well played on each other, so we need Ryan in front of us to either take the man that's dropping into midfield or the pass line. But the rest up front, I think everyone put a shift in, everyone runs so hard, defended well, but in the end it could have been a 0-0, but it is what it is. We take the 3 points and we move on.
Your manager's coming into the studio in just a second. I don't know, he's wandering onto the pitch, but he will come in here in a moment. Could I just ask you about the two goals, the disallowed, the penalty. Andy Robertson said a little bit soft, the penalty a little bit harsh, the disallowed a little bit harsh?
Yeah, well, listen, it goes so far, so I have no idea if it actually hit his arm, but what I said and also said to the ref, I think when referees make a decision like this, it has to be clear and obvious, and for it to take that long,
5 minutes.
First the VAR and then himself, it's already like you're looking for something that, you know, could be there, could not be there. So I don't think it helps the game, but it is what it is.
I said the same, by the way.
Yeah, no,
it shouldn't take so long. It's annoying, right?
Because obviously, like, everyone is guessing, everyone is waiting, everyone's looking and discussing with each other. And
I'm curious, because I didn't play with VAR like this, of course. Does it break the rhythm?
Of course, if you stop the game for 5 minutes, you definitely break the rhythm.
The momentum
And
did
also,
shift, didn't it, a little bit at that
Inter
point?
was
Yeah.
quite good after that as well.
You were definitely on top.
On the pressure as well. So
Your manager's waiting, so you might want to use that as a baton, hand over to him, because he's looking down here, and he was looking like he was going to get in. Thank you.
Andy, well done after a challenging few days. Where do you place that result?
Yeah, huge result. We knew we had to, come to a really tough place, a team that's in a good moment. So yeah, we had to show fight, we had to show determination, we had to dig in at times, and then obviously we get the penalty at the end. So we obviously, the clean sheet was crucial for us tonight, and then we go and score the goal. So a perfect night for us, and a big 3 points.
And VAR, the handball looked as though that might have been harsh, and the penalty looked as though it might have been a bit soft.
Yeah, look, the handball for me, if it takes, I think it took maybe 7 or 8 minutes to get to a conclusion. If you do that, I think you have to stick with the on-field decision. That's my opinion. It can't be taking that long and everyone hanging around and things like that. So I think if it takes that long for the ref and the VAR to make a decision, then I think you've got to stick to what the decision is. And the penalty, it looked soft. It did look soft, but anyone else in the pitch, it probably gets given. And thankfully we got that one.
Defiance, resolve. Would it be fair to say the manager needed that performance?
Look, we all needed it. I don't think the club as a whole needed it. I think we know we're in not the best moment. We know the results haven't been good enough. We know the performances haven't been good enough. So it's important that this club is in the Champions League. And when you have to compete in it, because people that supporters expect us to go far in it. So we need to up our performances to get through, and then to hopefully build momentum. So it was a good result for all of us.
And as a senior player, what do you make of most comments? He's not here. It's a tough situation the club's in.
Yeah, look, a tough situation, obviously. Like we're talking about, for me, one of the greatest players to ever play with this club. He's been unbelievable for us. 8.5 years. I signed the same window as him, and we've been through so many highs, so many lows, and yeah, look, whatever's happening happens. Obviously internally now, and we're all together. That's the main thing in the changing room. I think you've seen that today.
Can it be resolved? Can he be back in a red shirt?
That'll be, that'll obviously be up to other people. It's not up to me. But I love playing with Mo Salah, and I hope to continue to play with him.
And final word, you're into the top 8. That's what tonight has done as well. In terms of the stakes in this competition, that's a crucial win.
Yeah, of course. We know how important being in that top 8 is, and avoid the playoff in terms of an extra 2 games and things like that. We managed to do that last season. Probably got really unlucky with the draw last season after finishing top. So look, that's our aim. Of course it is. That was aiming at the start of the season, and it doesn't change now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mikel Arteta has made it clear that Arsenal will need to unleash their complete player against Bayern Munich. The Gunners host the German champions at the Emirates Stadium on Wednesday, and one man in particular could be decisive. Ebereki Eze, described as a very complete player by teammate Mikel Merino, is emerging as one of Arsenal's most dangerous weapons ahead of their Champions League clash with Bayern. The 27-year-old announced himself in North London with a stunning hat-trick in his first derby since arriving in a £67.5 million move from Crystal Palace. His 3 brilliant goals dismantled Tottenham, and truthfully, he could have scored even more. Merino believes every one of Arsenal's 8 summer signings has lifted the squad's level, helping the team build a 6-point lead at the top of the Premier League. But Wednesday's matchup is different. Bayern Munich, the reigning Bundesliga champions, represent the toughest test yet for Arteta's side. Speaking after the win over Spurs, Merino praised Eze's qualities and hinted at the impact he could have in such a high-stakes European battle. "We've brought in a lot of players who can make a difference. But you can see that other teams have spent big as well," the Spain international said. "Individual brilliance can win matches, sure, but in the end, it's the team that matters. If you have great players who don't connect, that's a problem. The good thing about this group is that everyone thinks about the team first." When asked about Eze specifically, Merino didn't hesitate. "I think he's incredibly complete. He can dribble, he can pass, and his technical quality is outstanding. In Spain, we always talk about players who can connect with others. He has that naturally. He grew up with that instinct to link play, move the ball, and build relationships on the pitch. He also has the mindset to get involved, demand the ball, and influence the game. At the same time, he's strong, he can take players on, and he can finish. He's a truly complete signing." Merino also touched on how the modern game often reduces players to simple numbers. "These days everyone judges players by goals and assists, that's just how it is. But as footballers, we see the deeper qualities he brings, the technique, the movement, the intelligence. Even in training, you can tell immediately how special he is. Yes, he's scoring goals, but he's much more than that. He's an exceptional player, and we're incredibly lucky to have him. He can play in several positions and adapt to different systems. He's been a huge addition for Arsenal." Beyond the technical qualities, Merino believes Eze's attitude, and a healthy competition within the squad, will be crucial in Arsenal's title push. You can hear the calm in Ebereki's voice and see it in the way he carries himself. He's confident, grounded, and every morning we sit together in the sauna at the training ground and talk about everything, he added with a smile. "He's a great guy, already fully integrated, and we need players like him. Competition is fierce. There's so much quality in this squad. That's exactly what the manager wanted, as many top players as possible, all ready to play. It makes his decisions tough, choosing who starts and who doesn't, but it also pushes every one of us to give our best in every session. And that's why we're improving as a team." As Arsenal prepare for Bayern's arrival, Arteta is facing one of the most delicate balancing acts of the season. The squad is healthy, competition is fierce, and expectations have never been higher. But behind the scenes, there is a growing sense that Eze's versatility and calm presence may be essential against a Bayern side known for controlling the tempo in big European nights. Arteta himself has hinted at Eze's importance without naming him directly. After the Tottenham victory, the manager spoke about the need for players who can break pressure, dictate rhythm, and stay composed when the game becomes chaotic. Those inside the club believe those comments were aimed at Eze as much as anyone. The coaching staff has been particularly impressed by how quickly he has adapted to Arsenal's positional play structure, a system that demands far more tactical discipline than what he was used to at Crystal Palace. Analysts at the club point to his growing influence not only in the final third, but also in build-up phases, where his ability to glide past pressure could help Arsenal bypass Bayern's aggressive midfield line. There is also an awareness that Bayern's fullbacks tend to push high, leaving spaces between the lines. Eze's skill set, sharp turns, deceptive acceleration, and precise final balls, could be exactly what Arteta needs to exploit those gaps. Outside the club, pundits have already started circling Wednesday's match as a defining moment for the £67.5 million signing. Some believe that if Eze can impose himself on a Champions League quarter-final against Bayern Munich, it will confirm his arrival among Europe's elite creative players. Former players have echoed that sentiment. Several ex-Arsenal figures, speaking on television over the weekend, highlighted the need for someone who can change the temperature of the match with a moment of calm or an unexpected burst of creativity. Eze, they argued, is one of the few in the squad capable of both. Meanwhile, Bayern Munich come into the match with their own confidence. Their midfield trio has been one of the most dominant in Europe this season, and they have shown a repeated ability to suffocate opponents early. That dynamic is precisely why Arteta may lean on Eze's composure. When the game tightens, Arsenal will need a player capable of slowing it down, protecting the ball, and finding solutions in tight spaces. Within Arsenal's dressing room, Mourinho's praise reflects a broader consensus. Senior players have reportedly been struck by Eze's humility and work ethic, qualities that have helped him integrate seamlessly into a squad that already had strong internal chemistry. Staff members describe him as someone who never forces the game and lets the match come to him, characteristics that could prove invaluable in a high-tension Champions League tie. As kickoff approaches, the narrative surrounding the match has shifted. What began as a test of Arsenal's resilience has quietly become a spotlight on whether Eze can elevate them in Europe the same way he has in the Premier League. For Arteta, the equation is simple. If Arsenal are to overcome Bayern, they will need more than intensity. They will need control. They will need creativity. And increasingly, they will need the completeness Eze brings to every phase of the pitch. Whether he starts in a wide role as a floating midfielder, or even as an interior playmaker, the expectation is the same. Eze will have to find the spaces others cannot, and influence the game in ways that statistics alone will not capture. The stakes are high, the opponent is formidable, and the spotlight is intense. But within the walls of London Coney, the belief is growing that this is exactly the kind of stage Ebereki Eze was signed for. Martin Odegaard is nearing a return to action after suffering a medial collateral ligament injury in Arsenal's 2-0 win over West Ham earlier in October. Yet, 3.5 years after Mikel Arteta named him captain, the Norwegian finds himself in an unfamiliar position. His place in the starting lineup is no longer guaranteed. For the first time since joining the club permanently from Real Madrid in August 2021, there is real debate over whether he remains an automatic choice for Arteta's 11. Odegaard, now 26, has been central to Arsenal's resurgence under Arteta, the conductor who shaped the team's rhythm through some of their most fluid football. But this season, the Gunners have been forced to navigate long stretches without their captain, first due to a shoulder issue that kept him out of 4 matches in September, and then because of a knee collision with West Ham's Crescencio Somerville that sidelined him again. And during his absence, something significant happened. Ebereki Eze stepped into the spotlight. Eze's sensational hat-trick in the North London Derby has complicated the picture. Now thriving in a central role, the England international has given Arsenal a different kind of presence around the edge of the box. A blend of unpredictability, directness, and two-footed confidence that opponents struggle to contain. He may not control games with the same metronomic precision as Odegaard, but he offers a spark, a willingness to take risks at moments when Arsenal need a jolt of creativity. After such a standout performance against Tottenham, it feels almost impossible to imagine Arteta leaving Eze out. The manager has always had a soft spot for players riding a wave of confidence, and Eze is currently surfing at full height. There was a similar situation back in September, when Mikel Merino was handed a start against Manchester City after scoring 4 times in 2 games for Spain, including a hat-trick against Turkey. Arteta doesn't hesitate to reward form. Eze has carried that form onto the international stage as well, recently scoring a stunning goal for England in a 2-0 win over Serbia in the World Cup qualifiers at Wembley. Though he can play on the left, it has always been clear that Arteta brought him to the Emirates to operate in midfield. And with Declan Rice and Martin Zubamendi near untouchable in the double pivot, the odds of Eze and Odegaard consistently starting together seem slim. That leaves Odegaard in an unfamiliar position. He needs minutes to rebuild sharpness, yet Arsenal's medical team won't rush him. The plan is likely to ease him back through short substitute appearances before restoring him to larger roles. But even once fully fit, Odegaard faces genuine competition, because Eze has shifted the landscape. His arrival has raised the team's ceiling, and his performances have earned him the right to keep his place. Before the dismantling of Tottenham, Eze had scored only twice for Arsenal, one against Port Vale in the Carabao Cup and another versus his former club Crystal Palace, a clever finish that sealed victory. Now with 5 goals across all competitions, he sits just 1 behind Odegaard's total from last season, when the captain made 45 appearances. Odegaard's 2023-24 numbers were outstanding: 11 goals, 12 assists, influence written across every competition. That is the standard he must match again if he wants to reclaim his spot, because Eze is hungry, confident, and eager to impress ahead of next summer's World Cup. Arteta will insist that Arsenal need both players at their best if they are to meet their ambitions in the months ahead. And with Kai Havertz also working his way back to full fitness, potentially slotting into midfield behind marquee striker Victor Gyökeres, the battle for places has never been fiercer at the Emirates. For Odegaard, the message is clear: he must rise to the challenge. His leadership and quality remain unquestioned, but he can no longer rely on reputation alone. If he embraces the competition and fights his way back into the side, his return could push Arsenal to even greater heights. And if the team has already reached this level without several key figures, the potential for what comes next may be even greater. Inside the club, staff members are quietly acknowledging that Arsenal are entering a new phase, one where no player, not even the captain, is immune to tactical evolution. Arteta has spent the past 2 seasons building a squad capable of sustaining pressure across multiple competitions, and the emergence of Eze is a sign that the manager's long-term planning is beginning to bear fruit. Depth is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. But with depth comes difficult decisions. Arteta has always valued balance in midfield, and the contrasting profiles of Odegaard and Eze force him to reconsider what type of midfield best suits the team's ambitions in Europe and the Premier League. The technical control and spatial awareness that Odegaard brings have defined Arsenal's identity under Arteta. Conversely, Eze's dynamism, physical presence, and unpredictable touches give Arsenal a new dimension, especially against teams that sit deep or defend aggressively in central areas. This internal shift has also caught the attention of analysts and former players. Several pundits have begun to question whether the captaincy should guarantee a place in the lineup, especially at a club with ambitions of challenging for the Champions League. Others argue that Odegaard's leadership is too valuable to sideline, pointing to the standards he sets in training and his influence over younger players. Those debates are already spilling into the media, and they will only intensify as the season progresses. There is also the tactical question of whether Arteta might eventually experiment with a system that accommodates both Eze and Odegaard, something he briefly attempted earlier in the season during the win over West Ham. But with Rice and Zubimendi forming an almost impenetrable midfield pairing, any reshuffle risks destabilizing the defensive structure that has made Arsenal one of the most resilient teams in the league. The manager has hinted that he is open to adjustments, but only if they enhance the team's overall cohesion. For Odegaard himself, the challenge is as much psychological as it is physical. He has worked hard to cultivate an image of calm authority, a leader who raises the level of those around him through clarity and consistency. Now he must show that he can adapt, compete, and respond to adversity. His teammates still speak of him with admiration, describing him as one of the most studious and detail-oriented players at London Coney. They believe that once he regains full rhythm, he will naturally reassert his influence. Yet even they acknowledge that the landscape has shifted. One senior player privately remarked that, "The team is different now, Eze has changed what we can do in the final third." That sentiment reflects not a lack of faith in Odegaard, but an understanding that Arsenal have evolved while he has been sidelined. For Arteta, the ideal scenario is straightforward: a fully fit Odegaard competing with a fully confident Eze, creating a level of internal competition that lifts the entire squad. The manager often speaks about the need for healthy tension among his players, pressure that keeps standards high without fracturing unity. The arrival of Victor Gyökeres, combined with the recovery of Havertz, only amplifies that dynamic. Arsenal's season will almost certainly hinge on these midfield decisions. With Champions League knockout matches approaching and the Premier League title race tightening, Arteta must decide not only who starts, but what kind of identity he wants his team to carry into the defining months of the campaign. The next few weeks will reveal whether Odegaard's return sparks a resurgence or a battle for relevance. If he manages to reclaim his place, it could serve as a reminder of why Arteta trusted him with the armband in the first place. If he struggles, it will underline how rapidly Arsenal are progressing, and how little room there is for sentiment at the highest level. Either way, the captain's response will shape not just his future, but the trajectory of a team that believes it is on the brink of something significant.